In patch 12.11, a much anticipated weapon was added into Escape from Tarkov, and that is the MK47 Mutant, and it is really good. In this video, I want to talk about the stats of the gun, if the gun is overpowered, and give you some builds that work really, really well for this gun. I'm Jessekazam, welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. If you like the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. And I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch, all my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey, but with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So like we said, we are talking about the MK47 Mutant. You're starting to see these everywhere because it's a new gun, and it's a really cool gun. What makes this unique is that it's basically an AR platform with the 7.62x39 bullet. So the, PS, BP bullets that would normally get shot of like AKMs or SKSs or Veprs or something like that on an AR platform. And the long and short of that is just it means that a lot of the AR modifications, pistol grips, buttstocks, foregrips, and stuff like that, you can put on a gun like this and use this ammunition, which is a really interesting combination of heavy hitting rounds with a lot lower recoil than you could traditionally get on some of the other 7.62 full auto weapons. So we'll kind of break down the stats of the gun, we'll go into the price of the gun, and go into some of the builds. So this is just a stock standard MK47 Mutant. I just threw an EOTech on it. It's got 99 vertical recoil and 247 horizontal recoil. So as I understand it, this has already been slightly nerfed since the release. It's one of the reasons why I waited to put out this video. I've put out videos of new guns when they were added and then they were nerfed, and then it felt like a lot of the stats were off. They've already changed this a little bit because of a lot of people using it and saying it was a little overpowered. It wasn't a huge nerf, but that's where we are now. Stock standard, you're at 99 vertical recoil and 247 horizontal recoil. The RPM, the fire rate of this is 650 rounds per minute, and the stock ergo is 65. So an interesting thing to note about the RPM, I have noticed this, I've talked to some other people noticed this, maybe I'm crazy, but for me, it feels like lower RPM weapons means that the perceived recoil of a gun seems lower. And the way I can kind of figure that out in my mind is that because it's a little bit of a longer time between shots, the gun has a little bit of a longer time to kind of return to center for you before that next round is fired. So it's not that the recoil is less than other guns, like this stat is 99, but it feels different than a 99 recoil of a gun that shoots much faster, like an M4, an HK, or something like that. So we can even just like throw this on just absolutely stock standard 99 vertical recoil and kind of take it into the hideout and show you a little bit. Like I will not use my mouse at all to adjust the recoil for this. We'll aim right here, center of mass on the second target. Like you can see that it definitely jumped up. We went over his head. We actually hit the ceiling there. I didn't do anything, and all the second half of that round landed right here at 100 vertical recoil. So I think it just feels a little bit different. It feels easier to use, and I bring that up to say that when you're making builds, you don't have to spend all the money to get this all the way down to like the low 40s or high 30s for vertical recoil. You can get away with some of the more budget builds. Budget is kind of relative because a lot of the mods for this are pretty expensive, but that's just something to be aware of. It's why I feel like MDRs and stuff like that are a little underrated as well. So the pricing and availability, you can purchase this from Skier level 3. It's nice you don't have to do any quests or anything. Once you get to level 3, you can purchase this for 83,000 rubles. I don't think this has been changed. It wouldn't surprise me if they make it a little bit more expensive just because, but it's about 83,000 rubles right now. You can buy 4 per reset. You can purchase them on the flea market because you can get these out of secret stashes. And then also Tagilla can spawn with them, the new factory scav boss. I have never gotten Tagilla with a mutant, but apparently you can. So because they can be found in raid, you can buy them on the flea market. Right now, they're a little more expensive. I would imagine that as the wipe progresses and as more people are finding these and everybody kind of settles into what they want to use, these might fall a little bit below 83,000. But if it continues to be something that's kind of like, quote unquote meta that people want to use a lot, then these might stay that expensive. But if you got the money and you're not at Skier level 3, you can go ahead and give that a go. So we can talk about like the modifications for this weapon. So I put together a few builds to kind of show off kind of the different range of the mutant. I can't even buy some of these things yet because we can see like if we go for the meta suppress mutant, which is the meta one. We are at 38 vertical recoil. This is disgusting. Once again, 38 vertical recoil, and you pair that with the fact that because of the lower fire rate, it feels like even lower recoil than that. This is an actual laser beam at this lower recoil. And you do, but I can't even purchase all this stuff yet. I could buy it off the flea market, but from the traders, because the longer barrel, which does some recoil reduction and some stat changes, is purchasable at mechanic level 4, which you need to be level 40. I'm close. You can get this to decent ergo around 40 and all the way down to 38 vertical recoil. The main kind of recoil reduction, though, comes from the compensator suppressor combination. So you put the T-lock on, you put the SRD suppressor, and then you put the 6 hour 2-port brake on. It's a 3-way thing that brings down the recoil insane. Just that, you saw we go from 99 vertical recoil to 66. So that takes 33 vertical recoil off by itself. They're not necessarily cheap parts, though. Like we said earlier, some of these modifications can get expensive. You need Peacekeeper level 4 to even buy the suppressor, and that's a little bit over 500 USD for just the suppressor by itself. So you're definitely spending some money on the attachments for this thing, but you don't have to run that 3-way combo suppressor. That's just the best in slot 1. You can use a lot of the other ones that work on the AR platform, like the Thunder Beast or the Wave or the Blackout. Those are all also relatively expensive, so that's why a lot of people end up using kind of the meta 1. But there are other options available too. One of the builds that I use when I run this thing is really just throw on the suppressor. And then if I have some of this other stuff, these like M-lock grips are really cheap. Throw a little bit extra ergo, a little bit of recoil reduction on there for pretty cheap. You can buy all sorts of butt stocks. Like we said, it's any really of the AR butt stocks. You can buy the PRS, which is pretty nice for mechanic level 3. And then if you have a growl or something like that, I like keeping these for the extra ergo. But even without that, even just replacing a butt stock, throwing a really cheap foregrip on, and then throwing that big bad boy suppressor combination on, now I'm down to 50 vertical recoil. So I didn't have to buy the long barrel or the longer handguard. You don't have to buy another pistol grip. I'm still at 50 ergo. And then we can kind of take this into the hideout with just those modifications. I know it's still expensive because of the suppressor, but now we can kind of take a look at the difference. So that's a pretty insane difference. I did not manage the recoil with my mouse at all. I just held down left click. So we went from, shooting the ceiling and then leveling out at head level to really starting at the chest area, and all my shots were hitting thorax at this distance. And that was just the suppressor, a buttstock, and the cheap AFG M-lock grips. So you don't have to do a lot to this thing. Once again, like we said, those meta builds, those really big builds can get pretty expensive, but you really don't have to do a lot to this. Anywhere in the 50 to 60 vertical recoil range is going to feel really, really nice on a mutant, and you're going to absolutely be able to destroy with it. I did kind of come up with a few other builds just to kind of show off the range of the mutant. It's AR parts, so you can kind of guess what it is for the most part. You can put the little 3-way, I think this would be the meta unsuppressed build, the little 3-way Landtech adapter that people put on like SA58s and stuff like that. That gets us down to 50 vertical recoil as well. And then that's an unsuppressed build. These things would probably be a little bit cheaper than buying that whole 3-way suppressor combination. You can go, long unsuppressed. You can go short unsuppressed. You can, this budget kind of unsuppressed. You can put this red 7.62 brake on, the cheap thing here, and then just swap out for a buttstock. And you've gone from 99 to 71 vertical recoil, which is definitely going to be a little bit on the high end, but I think even usable as well. So there's a pretty decent amount of build variety because of the nature of the modifications that it takes. But at the end of the day, throwing that suppressor on and then any other attachments you have in your stash is going to make this thing incredibly viable. And then, like we said, if you want to get it down to 38 vertical recoil, you can. It is going to be an actual laser beam. So the last thing to talk about is the ammo. The most common rounds are going to be 7.62 PS and 7.62 BP. You do get a lot of these tracer rounds from like scav bosses. You can find these all over on scav bosses, scav boss guards, and stuff like that. These have 30 pen, 62 damage. You can buy these from proper level 2. I would basically never really recommend purchasing these, but you'll find them a lot in the raid. The real 2 rounds that are used the most are 7.62 PS and BP. PS is purchasable day 1 at level 1 proper, and it's a good round for early wipe. 32 pen and 52 damage. 32 pen means it's going to be penning even class 3 face shields reliably on the first shot, so fast MT or exfil face shields. It's going to be crunching through level 4 armor and even some level 5s. You're going to have to hit them a few times, but this is a very usable round. The other round that is used most often is 7.62 BP. This is purchasable at level 3 proper for just under 1,000 rubles a round, only after you complete the quest, the Punisher Part 5, which is a quest line you get from proper. So you have to complete Punisher Part 5, then you can buy this for 939 rubles a round. And this is kind of the big boy round. BP has 47 pen and 58 damage. So 47 pen means in just a few shots, very reliably going through class 5 armor, class 5 helmets, and very, it's not out of the question to just tear through class 6 armor. You're just going to have to hit 4, 5, 6 shots before you've kind of shredded that armor up, and now you're definitely in business. You can purchase this, like I said, for about 1,000 rubles a round. If you want to purchase it off the flea market, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. You can craft this in the hideout, though. I have a little over 1,000 rounds because of this craft. 2 green gunpowder and a blue gunpowder. And you can craft 200 rounds of this. You can craft the green gunpowder, 2 M67 grenades and a smoke grenade. This is a really reliable way to either A, make money, or B, craft this ammo, because buying these is definitely cheaper than buying a green gunpowder. So you craft 2 of these. The blue gunpowders you can craft and stuff like that, but they're the cheapest ones. And then you can start crafting this. I've kind of just got a stockpile of BP for that reason. Yeah, I've got 839 rounds. We've got 200 rounds crafting right now, and I've used the mutant a few times. So, and then you do have access to the MAIAP round. This is a round that does even more. It's 58 pen and 47 damage. So 58 pen means basically 2 shots. You can get through anything class 6 for the most part. It's expensive. It's about 1,300 rubles a round. This is loot only, as I understand it. So you can't craft these. You can't buy these. You just find them in ammo boxes and secret stashes and stuff like that. What's nice about this is that it's fast, 875 meters per second, as opposed to something like 730. So if you're taking in this like an SKS or something, going for Shooter Born in Heaven or for some sniping, to be honest with you, that's more worth it to me because you're risking less of the ammo. I wouldn't buy 300 rounds of this, fill 30 round mags, and then just go ham with the Mark 47. But you could do that if you wanted to. So as far as the ammo, PS is the most common round. If you have access to the mutant, which means you're leveling up and you're willing to spend 100,000, 120,000 rubles on a gun, then BP is probably where you're going to want to be going. Another really quick fun fact about the mutant before we do final thoughts: you cannot use the 50 round mags that you can use for other 7.62 guns like the AKMs or the AK-103, but you can use the 73 round drum mag and destroy your ergonomics, but absolutely go ham. This is a really interesting strategy if you want to go with some PS or something that's not quite as good of an ammo and you just want to kind of left click meta. So you can do that, but you can't do the 50 round mag. So that's the mutant. Final really quick thoughts. It's a really strong, really powerful gun. Is it overpowered? I don't know. It's hard to tell. As long as HKs and M4s exist with 32 or 28 even vertical recoil, with being able to shoot 5.5A1 or 9.95. In my opinion, I don't know that we can call it overpowered. It's a very strong gun. You're going to see these with 30s more than anything else, which definitely helps because high capacity mags are definitely meta with every other gun. You won't see, especially late wipe, anybody using an M4 or an RPK without like a 60 round mag. So the fact that these are going to be primarily 30 round mags, it's a pretty expensive gun to run, maybe not as expensive as an HK, but it definitely costs some money. I don't know. I would like to see all the guns have a little bit more recoil and a little bit harder to use, but it's a good gun. It's fun. I like that 7.62 is getting some love, and it's definitely worth running. So I hope that this helped. I hope that this just gave you the overview on the gun itself, what the stats are, how you can mod it out, what ammo is worth running, and maybe you go try it out and have some fun with the mutant in Escape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Like we said before, I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord server is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.